Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Hey, Sox fans. Welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. I am Nick Murawski, and this is episode 302 of Good Guys Talk Back, a very fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. Join us live every Sunday night at 9:15 on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Jump in on the comments. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you were at opening day or any of these games this past opening week series, weekend series, whatever you want to call it. It's in the books, and we're going to talk about it. The audio available absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. Wow, so many great people jumping in. We got Jack and Peyton, Sydney, Pete, Steve, Tyler. Love having you with us. Thank you so much for joining. With me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, I'm all kinds of excited to recap our experience together on Thursday afternoon at a somewhat full rate field and our enjoyment of the day. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about some of the things that bothered me. I thought we were better as Sox fans. I can't wait to dive into that.
Yeah.
And the Sox pitching is fantastic. Let's get that out of the way early, Nick. I mean, right now, dominant from a starting pitching perspective. And it is the Angels after all, and who knows how long this will last. But that's something to say. That's nice. It's good to see. It wasn't terrible, right?
It was not terrible, not even close to that. It was very good. You got some things you need to vent about in a little bit from opening day. And I have some things too. I was very disturbed at some of the things that I've saw. Not new. This is not the first time I've seen them happen at a Sox game, but it popped up again on opening day. But yes, the pitching. I love pitching. That was something that I was looking forward to this season. I knew there was really not going to be any offense, but the pitching. Yeah, we got Sean Burke on Thursday on opening day, and he was great. Fun to watch, kept things moving right along. I mean, it was a 2 hour and change, 2 hour, 12 minutes, 2 hour, 20, something like that. And you needed it because it was colder than advertised with a little bit of rain mixed in. And we were in the elements, so we had to we were roughing it with everybody else. So, yeah, good for Sean Burke. Good to see that. Cannon on what was it, Saturday? I would listen to a majority of that with Len and DJ on ESPN 1000. Sounded like Cannon was rocking and rolling with his stuff, his sinker, especially ground ball pitchers, both of them. It was a duel on Saturday. And how about it, Pat? We sat after the game on opening day in the parking lot, playing some Thunderstruck, just enjoying. We were on top of the world. We were absolutely on top of the world. First place, Chicago White Sox. And we're talking, and we've been following this team long enough, as so many folks have that are watching and listening. When they score 8 runs, that many runs, whether it's opening day or not, the next day, the next game, expect 0 or 1. And what happened? I said it's going to be like 1-0. On Saturday, and that's what happened.
You can bank it 100% if it's a day game, right? If you've got, if the next day is a day game and they scored a lot of runs the day before, just forget about it. Just take your whatever you were planning on putting on your children's education and just plop it down on that bet the next day.
Well, I thought with the buffer there with Friday off, I thought maybe.
No, I think it's too strong. It's too strong of a stink that follows them, even over time and space.
I've been tracking this for years, if not a decade or so. I feel like we've been talking about it since the beginning of this podcast for sure. When they go big offensively, especially double digits, you forget it. The next game is going to be a goose egg or maybe one. Maybe they'll get one run.
I just imagine, since you say you're tracking it, like you're in your basement and you have these big like supercomputers like at your display, like you're in the bat cave, and you've got many monitors and you're tracking these things, and reels are going all around and spitting out like tape. Says,
if you go back to those, if you go back to those reruns of the 60s Batman bat cave, it was just a bunch of monitors with lights going off and boop, 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 and things flashing, and he had monitors and kiosks everywhere. He was more IT savvy back then than I think people realize. I think it was just over their head. That's why it only lasted 3 seasons. That series.
Wouldn't that be something to get that set in your house, like Kramer did? He had the set, the TV.
The Merv Griffin.
The Merv Griffin show. That'd be great to have the old 60s Batman. Batcave set in your house.
I was talking to my dad recently, and he said, he knew somebody that had that. William Shakespeare was the statue, the bust that, of course, Adam West lifted up, it hit the red button, and then the bookshelf removed itself, slid to the side, and then the poles were revealed. Well, my father said he knew somebody that had one of these that like opened up a wine cellar or something in their basement. They were able to rig it that way. And that would be kind of fun if you had one of those where you flip the head up, hit the red button, and some secret wall appeared in your basement.
What would be behind your secret wall, Nick? Would it be some sort of like a barista waiting to make you coffee, like something like that? Or
it would probably
what would be behind the Nick Murawski wall with under the William Shakespeare button that he pushes?
Yeah, of course. Some sort of coffee bar that I have down in the basement with the good coffee. This is the good stuff. This is not the stuff you put out, every day. This is the high-end stuff.
Not for like just regular company. This is the stuff only for you. Good.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, look, I'm happy with the pitching. I'm Davis Martin. I watched it, man. I watched it on Sunday. Stream that baby. He looked good, man. He got into a jam in the 6th, got out of that, took down Moncada, even though Moncada, he made himself present in the series with nothing out of the infield, but it was effective. We'll talk a little bit on how the fans received him, but Davis looked good. Yeah. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And so I'm looking forward to, how the rest of this rotation lines up. Hey, Sox pitching only gave up 5 runs in the series.
That should be good enough to win the series, right? If you think about it.
Well, it should, but we knew how this offense was going to be. So again, something to monitor. Extremely early, young in the season, but that is the thing I think you got to watch. These young guys, how they handle themselves, how they handle their business, because the offense isn't going to be there, but the maturation of guys, especially like Cannon, is what I'm watching. How about this, Pat? After the Sox won the opener, when they started the season 1-0 in first place, of course, first time they were above 500 since early 2023. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
When you say 2023, it's like, oh, that's not that long ago. It was 2 years ago, for crying out. It's been 2 years since they've been over 500. That's a long time. And they find themselves back under 500. I think it's remarkable that they have a positive run differential right now. I wonder when the last time
they're +5.
So I wonder when the last time they had a positive run difference. Probably 2023.
Yeah. I should have looked at all my monitors that I've got set up. I probably could have found that out.
Well, we didn't have a extensive meeting like we normally do about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. But it was great meeting a ton of people. We didn't get to spend a lot of time at the Whiskey at Comiskey event, but definitely you could tell it was starting to swell, man. There were more people showing up, and I smelled some amazing smells. There were a lot of folks to just to catch up with, hey, I haven't seen you. This is what opening day is all about, and what Sox games are all about in my mind, especially, when Lot B's rocking on a Saturday or even Sunday during the summer when the weather's going to pop. You're seeing people that you haven't seen in a long time. Your baseball friends, your White Sox friends that you're able to get back together, get reacquainted with. We got to talk and run into Sydney and Pete.
Great to meet Sydney. Great.
Mailman Jack gave you some hell for your floor cam.
My slouching, basically my bad posture, which I have currently, and I'm not changing for Mailman Jack. This is how I do the show. I lurch over. I told you, it's like a Larry King.
Yeah,
the great Larry King. He would sit and like lurch over, like leaning in. This is how I roll on these.
Then we need to get you some White Sox suspenders, and you just got to lean into the whole image.
I think I do, but I do
those
it
old-timey microphones.
The double chin has become quite a problem, so I'm trying to lean forward to stretch it out as much as I can.
Well, so coming from a floor cam, it's not helping. That's why I think you have to go from a higher.
So I need to I have my computer on a box. Should I put it on another box so you can go
refrigerator?
higher?
It's like a refrigerator box.
Right.
You have one laying around. I don't know.
We'll work on it. Maybe I should put the fork down. That would be helpful.
Well, you can't outrun a fork, is what I've heard before. You can't do it. But yeah, Jeff Bartlett, talked to him. As Roxy, as we were starting to leave, there were more people coming in, but they do such a great job, and they'll continue it throughout the season in Lot B. Find them on social media, Chicago Sports Bums. They put on the event. And you're going to eat well, you're going to drink well, and you are going to rub shoulders with some great people. Lots of fun. But you had to get to an engagement at Cork and Kerry because you had some people you needed to get to see, and that place was busting at the seams, spilling out into the street. Weather wasn't great, but it was a holiday. It felt like it. There was a lot of buzz. I mean, attendance 31,000 and change, disappointing, but
well,
what do you expect?
It is what it is. I mean, listen, the day wasn't great. The team's not going to be great. You're going to really get the 31,000, really the diehards like us, and that's okay. I'm not worried about attendance on an opening day, whether it was sold out or wasn't sold out. That's not really why we do what we do, Nick. We know that. There will be a time in our lives again when this team, the sun will shine on this team again.
Yeah.
And they're going to pack the house more times than not. It's just the way it goes. And if you could carry some momentum and be consistently good, it will grow and it will be good. I remember back when that place opened up and it was a good team in the early 90s. I mean, they were selling out a lot of games in that era. Right. And
a bad stadium. I mean, you think about how
stadium.
High those bleachers or the upper deck went, and it just didn't look anything close to what it looks like right now. But,
if you could actually capture and build a fan base, you could actually have more people. But again, we're not here to discuss that. The owner's not interested in packing the place ananyway. But some things that I'm a little bit disappointed in our White Sox brethren about, Nick, that it started a couple years ago, and I think it was a post-pandemic, like we're back in the ballpark, and let's how do we function again? I don't remember this ever being a problem. You and I, we've used the men's room at this ballpark many times.
Yeah,
you walk in, you pick a lane, you saunter in behind your friend. And you keep the line moving. There should never be a line outside of the men's room ever at that ballpark. But yet, I've seen it several times where the line is out the door. Mm-hmm. And it's because the person that just walks in is waiting in the back by the door for one person to be done and move in. It takes forever.
Yeah, so that line needs to be 5 to 6 people deep at each urinal.
And maybe it seems a little bit weird to stand behind someone while they're peeing. You wouldn't do it in normal circumstances.
There's like a 3 foot, understanding, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, you called it out instantly. It's like, why is this line so long? It's because people are not getting in line at the urinals. Just get to the end of the bathroom, find a line, and there you go. Stop, because there's this log jam by the maybe that's not the correct term. Speaking of bathrooms, but right by the entrance. What are you doing? Just get into the bathroom already.
I walked in and I started I finally figured out what was happening. I'm walking to my spot and I said, boys, come on, pick a lane. And I started a kind of a revolution, like it started to happen. And people were finally in. It felt really good. But then I went to another bathroom, the same thing. I'm like, what are we doing? We are better than this. This is something as Sox fans we could say, hey, we're pretty damn good at figuring out the bathroom thing. And here we are, we're screwing it up. So I'm just imploring people, if you see this, make sure you're voicing your opinion, tell people to pick a lane and let's go.
You think just any opening day, maybe people kind of
forgot how to use a bathroom at the ballpark? No.
It was odd. It was very odd. And you're right. It something has happened over the last several years where people kind of forgot that mentality. It kept things moving, and when you pointed it out, it brought some clarity to the situation.
Another thing that you and I always see, and we'll continue to see it, is the I don't care if they are Cubs fans. I don't care whatever you want to be, but showing up with the Cubs gear on to Sox opening day.
I don't get it. Wow. We saw several people, Pat, on Thursday in total Cubs gear. Not just a hat, and I'm talking full jersey, hat, multiple times. I don't understand it. And it's not just opening day. I've seen this occur quite often where it could be a White Sox Orioles game, and somebody is walking around Sox Park in full Cubs gear. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. I have, maybe 2 games, maybe twice I've been to Wrigley Field when the Sox weren't playing, and it was Cubs, Cubs Braves, Cubs something else, and someone had tickets. I was living up in one of the north neighborhoods, and it's like, all right, whatever. I didn't even wear a Sox hat. I'm like, I'm not doing that, let alone a full jersey. And I'm not talking about Ronnie Woo-Woo. I'm talking about just regular fan that decided they were going to wear all Cubs gear to a White Sox opener. Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I need to find out why. And I should have asked somebody, what's the play here? What's going on? Because
I think the next time we see it, we do need, if we're, well, you always are. If I'm of sober mind, then I don't want to get in a yelling match with people, but just have a conversation.
I just want to have a conversation, just a conversation.
Not attacking you. I just want to understand what's happening at the moment. I've got this coming Friday, I'll be in Wrigleyville most of the day for the Cubs home opener for work.
Yeah.
I'm not staying for the game. I have no intention, even though I'm not going to the game, I have no intention on wearing Sox gear, walking around Wrigleyville on Cubs opening day. I'll just be me, I don't get it, but I don't know. Well, that's something that bothered me. Something that was interesting in today's game, it wasn't from opening day, was another thing that I feel like we've always been pretty good at. Today we epic fail with the tarp situation. Did you see that?
I saw that. I did.
Now again, the storms came in rather quickly. I understand that. So, but watching the grounds crew, which is under the great Roger Bossert, normally perform their jobs at a very top-notch level. The pictures, they just piecemealed whatever they were putting like jewel plastic bags down on the field.
I saw that. I saw that. That was it was like a weird looking quilt, like that somebody just had a bunch of odd patches and they just decided to put something together. Caught them off guard, but there are the videos now and the photos that will live on.
Yeah, Sodfather lost his fastball? ?
Ooh, boy, that's going to be a sad day.
There
and it's odd that we know the head groundskeeper. Isn't that odd?
No, it is odd because I've gotten in discussions with other people from other fan bases, and it was always I would have, and this was when Nancy was still here. I said, "Do you know who your organist is? Do you know who your PA announcer is? And do you know who your groundskeeper is? Keeper is?" And they would say typically no to most of them, but that's what we cling to as Sox fans. When you cling to the things that are not related to actually what's happening on the field.
Well, they were memorable. I mean, Gene Honda does just about everything, and he does it so well. Nancy, I mean, historic. I mean, I know she's got plaque and representation in the Hall of Fame, but like she should be legitimately enshrined in the Hall of Fame with everybody else for what she's done for the game of baseball, revolutionized really how you've heard a game. And that's changed, of course, as the organ has been phased out in MLB parks. But we can go on and on about her and the Sodfathers. What is he, a third generation groundskeeper?
Yeah, that's, I mean, Howard put it in the chat here that, Roger's been there since 1967 and his father Gene before him. So, I mean, that's an amazing thing. It's, I guess that's what you do in that family. You don't have,
and he's gone on and he's done fields all over the place. Ballparks open up and they call on Roger Bossard and his crew. Yeah. So he's got his fingerprints all over Major League Baseball. So that's what I'm talking. It wasn't just an average organist or PA or groundskeeper. These, I mean, they got resumes. They got some historical stuff to back it up. So, one of the odd little things, they're celebrating 125, right? 125 years, which it kind of answers a question because there's been a lot of, do you have gear, White Sox paraphernalia that has 1900 and some things that have 1901? I've
only seen 1901.
Okay,
but
interesting.
I don't have anything 1900. I don't believe.
Well, I know there's a discrepancy between like the inception of the Chicago White Sox and then the actual American League. There's kind of a difference, and it feels like it's always been kind of odd. Like, well, why is one thing got 1900 and then the other thing's got 1901 on it, whether it's a t-shirt or a rug or whatever. Yeah. So now they're just, hey, this is the 125th anniversary. You see a lot of that in the team store, the new fancy team store with robots.
Very nice, by the way.
That was, oh boy,
great.
Oh, sharp. They really redid it. It looks nice, and that logo is on a lot of different stuff. And I could have swore they had it on their hat on opening day. It was a patch on the side of their hat, and I thought that's really cool. They're going to wear that on their hat for the rest of the season. And, I didn't see it the rest of the weekend. I didn't see it on Davis Martin pitching. I didn't see it on his hat. And what I don't understand, and I'm kind of a jersey, I don't want to say a jersey snob, but I pay attention to jerseys and I kind of, critique them a little bit. And the Sox have a clean jersey right now compared to a lot of other clubs around baseball. There are no corporate logos on their jersey. They have not gone that route. There's nothing on their home white sleeves, which is really shocking when you think about it with the rest of the league. So it's a really nice, clean jersey. But if you're going to celebrate 125, and that's a nice looking logo, put it on the jersey sleeve. Wear it on the jersey sleeve. I think that would be a nice addition to the Sox uniform, especially the home uniform. But maybe the patch hasn't come in yet. Maybe it's on backward or something.
Well, did you ever get your pin for being?
I did. I did.
Okay.
Eventually, they corrected that wrong, and I did after months and months, long after they told me it was going to head my way. I did get the pin. Yeah,
this is maybe the same person that's in charge of the patches for the jerseys. Is the same person?
Peyton here in the chat says they don't sell the hat with the 125 patch. That's crazy. They sell everything else. They make money on everything. They're not going to put that hat out with the patch, because I was going to look for that if they were going to continue to wear it. That's crazy. So Peyton said he had to buy one at Grandstand, which, if I have to go to Grandstand, if I got to twist my arm, I will go to Grandstand. That's fine.
Lord knows you're going to be there anyway, so just buy it there, Nick. Let's not kid ourselves and think that you're not going to. I do have a question. Did you see the post game like locker room stuff that they put out on social media after opening day?
I saw something. Will Venable looks really happy, and I pulled a quote from Corey Lee, but I didn't see much of any of the video.
Well,
what was going on?
It was a little bit eerie, and it made me think, well, maybe we don't do this then. We shouldn't do this anymore. They put him in the shopping cart thing that I think that you throw your jock into after a game. Like they take.
I remember they did. So I remember they did that for Grifol.
They did that for him for Will too. They put him in there and they paraded him around, and then they doused him with water and Gatorade or whatever in the showers. He was fully clothed, which was good. But I thought, well, this feels in the same way as Pedro. Maybe we should stop this celebration because then it resulted in just like it did the last time with a couple of losses. So maybe stop with parading your manager around in the little jockstrap shopping cart.
Yeah, which is still an interesting way of putting all your laundry in this little shopping cart. But
I don't know if that's what it's for. I'm just making an educated guess or assumption, maybe.
Yeah. Well, man, it started out with a bang, though. He hit all the right buttons. 8-1. Really a late run from the Angels. It was pretty exciting. That was one of the better opening days that I can remember. In terms of like lopsided wins.
Yeah.
There's been some intense, exciting opening days, especially like a year after they've won the division or, I remember the 2000. I wasn't there. You weren't you at the home opener for the 2006 season when Tommy hit the big home run? They put up double digits.
You know what?
That was an electric opener.
I was not at that home open. I was at the ring ceremony night, which I believe was the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe it was game 2. It was the unveiling of the whatever they considered their banner to be, which we don't even really have any anymore, unless they
that's so sad.
Up. There's a couple pennants.
They have all
pennants in your house.
100%, Pat. They have and there hasn't been a lot of championships. Whether it's pennants, World Series, divisions, there's not been a lot. And I loved what they had on those, the lights, the wrought iron light stands out there in the outfield. They had those banners up there, and now they have relegated. This has been for a few seasons now. They're to these brick pillars out in left field on the concourse. You can barely see them, honestly. If you don't know where they're at, you're going to miss them. It's really sad. Again, I look for those types of logistic things, those things around the ballpark, and that one's unfortunate.
Well, when they get the 78 done, Nick, I'm sure the artist has a great rendering of tremendously large banners or flags.
Love them. Yeah.
That will represent the 3 World Series championships we do have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's just one of those things. You don't have a lot to really celebrate. So I don't know. Put it out there, man. Just put it out there in a little better of a viewing spot too. Even if it was just a flag that was flying, like 2005, somewhere out there, that would have a better place than what they do right now. But anyway, we walked around the ballpark. We had some time to kill. Food's on point. We didn't stand in line, Pat, for any of the new items. I saw some stuff on social media about that birthday cake shake, and that was a heck of a wait. 45 minutes, people were standing in line for that milkshake.
That's craziness.
You stood in line for about 40 minutes to get another drink, and then they told you that they stopped selling.
He came out, and I understand what the rules are. I wasn't upset about it.
Why did they let you stand in line that long?
They certainly let me stand in line that long, and then they started like closing the gates around us, like that. I don't remember what that little section is called out in right field. I think it's by gate 3, if I'm not mistaken. And they've got, you can go in there and get a draft beer, and it's
the
kind
Jack
of
Daniels area.
Yeah.
Next to the carving station. Yeah.
They started putting up like the bulletproof glass on us, like get out as soon as humanly possible.
It could get a little unruly when they cut you off in the middle of a line. It's like,
we do seem like we're complaining a lot, about our experience. It was a fun day. We had a day.
It was a great day. It was a great day. The hot dogs were outstanding.
We waited the perfect amount of time for the hot dogs because the onions were caramelized. That's a hot tip that you give to somebody that's never been to a game before. They don't want to get excited and go get your hot dog too early.
And that's usually what you do, right? You get in the ballpark. It's like, all right, I want to get some food while there aren't lines. Wait on those, man. Wait on those caramelized onions on your dog or your Polish, because you'll thank us. And those were perfect. Boy, that was the 4th inning maybe then when we got those. Yeah. And I was looking at the situation, and I'm like, it looked like she was about to go towards those raw onions. She knew what she was doing. I told you I was going to go back and thank her and tell her that she did an outstanding job, because those were great dogs. Sometimes you'll get one of those dogs, and those are our go-to. That's one of my favorite things in the ballpark. Hot dog or a Polish with the grilled onions, caramelized onions, put some yellow mustard on that. The bun was soft. It was steamed. It wasn't like crumbling or falling apart. I don't think I dropped a single onion anywhere.
Wow.
Everything stayed right intact. Did
you get any mustard in your mustache?
I don't think so. I mean, you could have told me. I don't know. I didn't feel it, which... Now I applied the mustard, and I know how to eat. I've been eating hot dogs before, so it's not like it was my first time. I just shoved it all in my face, or So, it was
one. You went conservative. You only got one hot dog. I went full bore. I got 2, and I paid for it later.
Your reasoning was very. It worried me a little bit. You were like, I don't know if we're going to be back here. I don't know if we're going to eat again ever. I don't know if we're going to have the opportunity. And it kind of scared me a little bit, like we were going to be denied food if I decided I wanted to walk up and get. So, but you made quick work of those, and that was good.
Well, it was a quick game, as you mentioned. I had to keep up with the pace of the game. Yeah. That's what you do.
So we got to see. We bounced around, and it was a great time. There was some energy. There was some excitement after they won a game like that. Now, Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada were back. They both debuted with the Angels on Thursday. Tim Anderson was the first one to get a reception. How would you tell somebody that didn't hear it or didn't experience? What would you say about that reception that Tim Anderson got?
I'd say it was a nice, just nice reception. It wasn't over the top.
Pleasant?
I think yes, it was just above maybe a golf clap type of situation with some smatterings of cheers. I mean,
I heard a couple boos at the beginning.
I mean, listen, you and I talked about it on the way up there, actually, in the car ride, and what we thought about. He would get an ovation of some sort, which he did. But there was reason for it. He was the face of this franchise through, the very short window of success that this team had, and he really was the. We used to talk about it all the time on this show, and he was the straw that stirred the drink type of thing, and everybody fed off of his energy and the swag and the vibes and all the stuff that people say when they want to be cool, and they do. The vibing and swagging is something that people love to talk about. But
sorry, so, I just can't. You've got older kids than I do, and I just wonder when if they have friends over, and you happen to just maybe walk in on a conversation, if you're like, are you talking about vibing and swagging? Did I step into a vibing and swagging conversation?
There was a oh gosh, probably a TikTok thing that's been happening. I'm sure it's a TikTok thing, which again makes me sound really old. That my daughter and a couple of my kids and my nieces and nephews, and all my nieces and nephews range from 3 to 17 years old. They're over at my house for my son's birthday a couple weeks ago, and what you do is you write down all the new slang terms that are cool for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a person that's old read these out loud. And what you do is the kids video this poor soul that has to repeat all these nonsensical verbs or verbiage, and they all put water in their mouth, and the first person that laughs and spits the water out loses as they experience. So as my father-in-law, 75 years old, reading these crazy things, and then I have children spewing all over my clean floors, which was fun. But anyway, yes. All right. So I pick up on some things. I don't know what the hell's going on or what they're saying. But get back to
Tim Anderson had it. Whatever was going on at that time, Tim Anderson had it.
Yeah. He had the attitude, and he had the talent to back up the attitude. And when the talent eroded and it was just attitude, that will turn you from a fan favorite to less than a fan favorite very quickly. So the way it left and the way it ended, you would think, oh, maybe he's undeserving of this ovation, but for a lot of people, he was a big part of their fandom and having a lot of joy was because of Tim Anderson. So I'm okay with it.
First, obviously years younger than us, but Sox fans that I think really got into the team in 2017 and during that most recent rebuild, I should say, were culminated into 2021 and one playoff win. That was their guy. That was their favorite player. That was the guy that they surrounded themselves with. I mean, you could make an argument for maybe Abreu, but probably Tim Anderson, a little flashy there towards the end, a little bit more vocal, wanted to be the face of baseball. So he got a pleasant ovation. It was nothing raucous. There did not need to be really a time for him to pause and get out of the box and like tip a helmet or anything. It was not like that at all. In between innings, they showed a montage on the Jumbotron of some of his highlights and everything, and he did acknowledge the crowd. He didn't get out of the dugout or anything, but I stood and I gave him a gentle applause. You stood and just paid attention to him. You gave him your focus, but you did have a beverage or something in your hand at the time, so there was no applauding.
I think there was. Boo. I don't think there was a moment during that day I didn't have a beverage in my hand,
or a hot dog or beverage. It was that kind of day. It was a fun day, and that's what you do. You celebrate that, and so then Moncada comes around, and I felt there were far more boos.
Oh yeah,
than applause. I mean, and I even heard him on Sunday as I'm watching the game. They were after him. Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's not like he ever did anything to, I don't think, outright offend the White Sox fan. I think it's just the pure disappointment, and you could maybe point a lot of the team's failures directly at him, and for just a lack of being available most of the time, and maybe there's some weird things that have been rumored about him and his social life. I don't know if you want to look that up. You can. Yeah. I won't discuss it here on this show, but some interesting things that you can read about him, and it maybe. And remember, he was the romper guy. He was the music video guy.
And that song. Yeah.
Yeah. So was that more important than what baseball could have been? And you're doing these things, and you're not even really all that successful as a player. I don't know. He was just, again, not even close to what the expectations were in terms of
just a
player.
Huge disappointment. And his body just didn't hold up. He didn't put I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what his off-season regimen was. And even if he said something in an article, that could have just been, blowing smoke.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the people that are around him, agent, trusted friends, family, teammates, maybe they're the ones that could speak logically on what kind of work he put in. But to be heralded the way he was when that sale deal came down and just, I mean, I drank the Kool-Aid, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited about Kopech, but I was really excited about Yoan Moncada. Switch hitter, we're going to answer some questions in the infield with power. I mean, speed, it was nothing of that. We really didn't get, I mean, maybe, was it 2018, 2019? One of those years, he had some decent numbers, but we didn't get anything. It wasn't like a back-to-back. It wasn't anything that was sustained.
I want to say he probably had 2 pretty good seasons, and outside of that, it was awful.
Yeah, so I think that's where that came from. I never read anything where he, told off fans or anything that you would go after a guy for. I think it was just, you didn't live up to what I thought you were going to be, which is understandable. As a fan, like, especially in Chicago, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't remember, maybe I don't remember him being interviewed a lot. You never really heard much directly from him, in terms of a player. So I don't think he ever had the opportunity to connect with the fan base. And it was just, people were at some point were out for blood just because of the, again, Yoan Moncada is yet again hurt, or he's got this problem, or you're always watching the seemingly lack of effort, running the bases. Maybe he's trying to protect
lackadaisical. But boy, he could field his position. Then we flashed the leather, at least on Sunday. It almost, I hate to say this because, again, I don't know, but it just comes off of it as you're watching as a fan. It almost like when he wanted to, like when his head was in the game, when he was really focused. And I just think maybe he's just so good, so talented, he could just kind of coast. And he got paid, and it was like, well, I got paid, and I'm not gonna do any more than I have to. Again, that's just how it comes from me. As my friend of the show, Dan O'Brien, to this day, he refers to him as Mr. Glass. It's Yoan Moncada, Mr. Glass.
I do love that reference, him being Mr. Glass. Yeah. But again, not surprised. And Cindy says, as he was defending, I didn't see this, but defending the fans for booing. It was really seemingly no secret that Ozzie Guillen didn't really have the time of day for Yoan Moncada. I mean, he was very outright, and as he always is, outspoken about what he believes in. And Ozzie time and time again would go after Moncada, I think, for a lot of the reasons we just talked about, the seeming laziness and not and seeming like not to care about being around or being there.
Yeah. Speaking of Guillen, remember several months ago, newcomer Austin Slater, who hit a home run on Thursday, he was given the number 13. Do you remember this? That we talked about.
I didn't remember that. Did we talk about this?
Yeah, it showed up on the website.
Okay.
He was given number 13, and it was like, what? That's a little odd. That's got to be somebody, whoever's in charge of handing numbers out in the organization and putting them.
It's the patch person, and it's the person that's supposed to hand out the pins to their season ticket holder.
Somebody was
having a rough couple of years.
They just completely screwed up, but that has all been corrected. He is that number is back to where it should be. off to the side, waiting for hopefully number retirement at some point soon. Austin Slater is wearing number 15. Okay. So Tadahito Iguchi has got a problem on his hands. And Dick Allen, I think Dick Allen was 15.
I think you're right about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
so.
Again, but does
that matter to you? Do you care about that? Am I the only one that is so?
Well, you care about it more than I do, but I know this is a hot button for you. Like if you want to sit down, here's the thing. I'll teach everybody a little thing. If you just want to have some fun with Nick, you walk up to him, maybe he's having a nice meal, and you say, "Hey, you're way off on this retirement for us again, number 13. Just want to let you know." Yeah. And you are going to see.
It would ruin my night.
You're going to be debated with and argued at for several minutes. But to me, it's curious that it's like, okay, now we got to make sure we change this. Like if you knew it was something that you didn't want to do in the first place, right? Why would you? I mean, wouldn't you notice it? Like, and then you had the mindset to go, oh well, maybe we shouldn't give out the number 13 after the fact. It kind of matches the MO of this team. It's very odd than the way they do things.
Just things I noticed, Another thing, and I noticed this too, Sydney, but I'm so glad you brought it up in the chat several moments ago. Thunderstruck, okay, which should always be played, not only just on opening day, big games, whenever. That should be the anthem to kick off a game. Thunderstruck, AC/DC. We use it. You and I you're from that 05 era. Boy, you can't not be listening to Thunderstruck when White Sox baseball season starts. It's a remix. So Thunderstruck starts off as Thunderstruck, and then all of a sudden it's like a remix of Thunderstruck. A minute or so later, which is new to me. I don't remember that being the case in years past, especially last year.
I think it's the idea of how do we bridge the gap between our older generation fans and to the younger generation fans.
You put the games on TV that you can everyone.
Is that something that you can do?
You can make that accessible to everybody. But okay, if you're like, you know what? I'm going to hide the game from people. You're going to have to really figure it out. You're really going to have to find it. But to really make up for that with the youth, I'm going to remix Thunderstruck. So
it's a mea culpa for everybody. We're going to do right by the fans here and remix something that most people love.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, no, people probably don't even care, but I do. And so we're just bringing it up as a couple fans that have been around for a very, very, very long time. Before opening day happened, there were some interesting moves that occurred. Talked about it with some Sox fans that it's just kind of odd, just really odd. But maybe this is just Chris Getz saying I wasn't a fan of these guys. When they were around, it's a new regime. You're not helping us. We have no place for you. We're cutting the fat. I don't know. Dominic Fletcher DFA'd, who was the get from Christian Mania, which was an arm that I think a lot of people were kind of excited about. We got Dominic Fletcher from Arizona, and really not much happened with him. Mm-hmm. So he was DFA'd. Jake Eder, Jake Berger, they went hand in hand. We gave Miami Jake Berger, or Kenny Williams did, or was allowed to, and we got back Eder, an arm that I was hearing from a lot of people. Okay, watch out for this guy. I think we might have something here. Is Jake Berger going to be anything more than he is right now? So we DFA Eder for nothing. That trade still will go down as one of the craziest deals. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. And why it was able to be done.
Yeah, I think that Chris Getz is what we're learning about him is he's not going to do like a lot of organizations do in this town and fall in love with the asset, right? It's like we're listen, this isn't working. I know we gave up stuff to try and get this person, but it's just not working, and we're gonna move on now and save ourselves a lot of time later. Even though we gave up things to get this person, that's not worth us continuing to invest in their development when we don't believe there's a future here. So I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe were you given? Did you give these guys enough time? Do you believe that they were being done right by your organization that hasn't really developed talent all that well anyway? So it's a little bit of a shame that you look back at some of these trades and there's zero net return, right? You just gave things away.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, the story is still being written on a Chris Getz in terms of how good or bad or mediocre of a general manager he'll be. Who knows how long that general manager position will be given to him if ownership changes.
A long time. Well, that's true. Yeah. If ownership changes, if Ish becomes publicly the majority and he's running the show, that's true.
So I wonder if that, Nick, it's interesting to just ponder. I wonder if that's in Getz's mind. Like, I don't have a long time here, potentially.
I got to maximize it.
I got to do whatever I can to show that I'm aggressive, not with as aggressive as he can be with the restraints that he does have, and try and maximize everything that I can do, and not. Again, you said it best. Trim the fat where it needs to be trimmed, and show my worth to possibly my new boss at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have not thought of it that way, but that could be an angle. I don't know if you can create any angle for this Oscar Colas thing. I mean, this dude, holy cow, man! So he's DFA'd before the season, which just. How wrong can you be? You could be very wrong. We as Sox fans have seen that time and time over the last 7-8 years. People are wrong. Prognosticators are wrong. And Colas was one of those. Rick Hahn pushed Colas down our throats that offseason. Not even going to be looking for a right fielder. Why would they? We've got Oscar Colas. Very bullish on Oscar Colas. Bullish on Gavin Sheets out there and right too. Watch out for him. He's been putting work in. He's been tracking balls. He's been doing the old grapevine, getting those hips loosened and his footwork. Oscar Colas can't defend. He can't throw. He can't hit. Okay. He's been up and down, moved back and forth. They've given him shots prematurely and it has not gone well. So he's DFA'd. Nobody, shocker, nobody wanted him throughout the league. So he's back now with the Sox in Charlotte.
Well, isn't that just wonderful that we have him back? It's a little bit of a shame. Again, I took the bait on Oscar Colas because I think especially when that season that he was kind of pronounced the starting right fielder. That was a season in which we were looking to contend. And I remember you and I having conversations. Well, if this guy can kind of come along and contribute a little bit, it doesn't have to be the weight of the world on him because this lineup is so deep. If he can just provide a little bit of power from the left side, that's a plus. And if he can defend the position at all, I don't have a problem with an Oscar Colas in right field. I remember having these conversations.
Yep, we did. We absolutely did.
And now look where we're at.
A couple years ago when I went to spring training, I mean, he was hitting the ball in the screws.
Yeah.
I mean, he really he performed well offensively. And I was like, okay, and before the season even started, they're hanging his banner along 35th with all the other players. And that was like, okay, the question is over now. You've got a banner of this guy. He's not going to be starting in Charlotte.
Right.
And it has been just a carousel ride. So to be determined on him. So there are a couple of things before we get the actual quote of the week. I just wanted to get you something from the White Sox and something from the Angels, Moncada specifically. Offense is just absolutely going to be tough to come by. It is. It's just the reality of the situation. They had 8 runs, of course, on opening day, and then just 2 in 2 games. So with runners in scoring position for the series against the Angels, Sox were 3 for 16. They did have 8 walks in the series, which I thought was kind of high, to be honest with you, with how things have gone with our Southsiders as of late. And Luis Robert Jr., the first at bat he had of the season, just a missile out there for a double, but he was 3 for 12 in the series. He's the guy, man. He's the horse. He's the guy you're going to be riding, and he doesn't really have any protection around him, but he knows what he needs to do, whether he wants to actually stay in Chicago, which I highly doubt it, or if he wants to see greener pastures. I mean, he's got to produce. It's just going to be tough why would I pitch to you, even if he's not going to be an actual threat, which if you throw him stuff to chase, he's going to chase. So you kind of cancel him out. But if he does get a little hot, why am I going to pitch to you then?
Yeah.
There's no one else that's fearing me in this lineup right now, but obviously there things can change.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then it's sad to see, when you do have opportunities to cash in. 3 of 16 with runners in scoring position, Nick, is really bad. But I do like what you pointed out with the walks and getting on base. If that can be a thing, Nick, that can be maybe this is being a little bit too hyperbolic, but that can be the thing that gets us to the over for the 51.5 or whatever wins this year. Like those are like just being on base more than you have been over the last couple of years.
It's the margins, man. It's the little things. That
and having I mentioned before, the run differential is in the plus right now. It's been 3 games, but
but it's better than how it started last year.
Yeah,
the start to last year was god awful.
The offense will not be good this year.
No,
but it can be a better unit or a better, makeup of an offense, even with lesser talent, if you can do things that are baseball IQ high.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think Clevenger was trying to talk about something like that in this recent quote. So this was Clevenger, I think, on Saturday, game 2 of the Angels game. It's just the vibes are really good right now. Said vibes. Clevenger. I saw it in Cactus League, just playing good baseball, hard-nosed baseball. We might not have the names that the Dodgers have, but you got guys busting down the line, making plays. It's the little things. Pitching and defense is going to win baseball games, and I think we have a lot of that. Got to have the offense, though. Clevenger pitched in 2 games in this Angels series, 1 1/3 innings, 1 hit, couple of walks, strikeout, and an earned run. We were in the team store when he came in on Thursday in a dicey situation. I think he was facing Trout at the time.
Yes.
Yes. That was a bit of a hairy moment, but he got out of it.
He did. Who else would you rather have?
Oh yeah. And you're going to probably see him in those situations, I guess. Right now, Venable, the lineups have been really different. You're seeing guys in a lot of different spots, and we don't have a set it and forget it. That's not going to happen right now. And that's the same thing with the bullpen. I think he's got ideas of where he wants guys and bridge to certain guys. And so that's what I feel like I heard that in spring training. That's where they're going to put Clevenger, where he has kind of shown up recently. So we'll see if that sticks around. This was from Moncada about the fan reaction, the booing and the reception that he got. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. There are fans that love me and fans that hate me, but I don't pay attention to it. It feels wonderful coming to play here in Chicago, facing my ex-team and having the opportunity to get the go-ahead hit. I think he had an infield single to get an RBI in on Saturday and had another RBI due to an infield situation on Sunday. So 2 RBIs already for Buscata.
There's probably 2 more infield hits than he had as a White Sox because he was never running down the line. So
yeah,
it's that's interesting. So chalk that up to the things I didn't think I'd hear about after this series.
Yeah. So here we go. We got AL Central this coming week, Pat. I think Minnesota and Detroit are both 0 for 3.
Wow. They're ripe for the picking then.
Yeah. And they're Minnesota's coming to town. We're going to Detroit. Not you and I, which would be fun. But our Chicago White Sox will be there this coming weekend. So, hey, not a horrible start to the season. Like we said, like the pitching, opening day was a lot of fun. It's going to be tough getting people out to that ballpark. It always is in April and May, no matter if you have a good team or not. But I am looking for. I did get that flex pack. I got. I put my money that they were holding hostage, and I put it towards tickets. There was pretty much nothing else I could do. So,
hey guys, why don't you just give me tickets then? I guess.
All right, I guess I'll just take a bunch of tickets, please, to this ball club. So I've been starting to comb through. You can pick and choose what games you want and whatever. I'm just going to go to games anyways, and if you're not going to give me my money back, so all right, I'll just get your tickets to this product. So right now, I think my next one is the Dick Allen bobblehead game. It's Saturday, May 3rd. So.
I hope you get in the ballpark in time to get that. Unlike this past week where we missed
out on the fleece blanket. Yeah,
I really wanted that blanket.
Yeah.
So that's on me. There were a couple errors by Pat this past game, but
it was great. It was a wonderful. It was a wonderful opening day. And for them to win so comfortably, everything worked out. It was fun.
It was fun. I hope this is the funny thing is, Nick, to me is I believe maybe it had to be maybe middle of the off season. We were talking and at some point we said, Nick, will you get tickets of any kind of package? No, there's no way. Yeah. Nick, will you invest in getting the CHSN so you can watch games? No, I don't think I'll do it. Yeah. And here we are. A few months later, they get you. They just know. They're like, we're getting Nick Murawski.
Yeah, I'm an easy target when it comes to the Chicago White Sox. I mean, as the season started to approach, I got a little I had some anxiety, I had some paranoia of, how was I going to watch this team? And I know people are like, what are you talking about? This team is awful. They're awful. They're going to be awful. I'm sorry. That's just how I'm wired. I enjoy it. It's what I like to watch. It's my thing. And I need to be connected. Look, when that whole money situation, and it's like, fine, I'm going to go. Yeah. And we'll just we'll do it this way. That's fine. So Pat, this was great, man. Starting off the season, wish it was a series win, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I'm looking to see how these other starters approach things, and hopefully we get a little bit more offense with some rivals this week.
Let's just try and average 4 runs. I think that would be great. That's a goal for everybody over the next couple of games, and let's just have some fun. Don't rattle off 10 or 13 in a row of losses.
Yeah, stay away from that.
Matter some wins in there, so we can have more than 8 or 9 victories in the month of April. So Nick, great to kick off the season with you. We're back on every week now that
we're Sunday night.
We're back in the in regular season mode. So we'll see you, or we'll see each other next Sunday. We'll see everybody else in the chat and listening, and they'll listen to us next week. So that's fun.
Yeah. Got the quote of the week here, but thank you to everybody jumping in, joining us. Great to see so many people on Thursday, and hope to meet more as the season goes along. Subscribe to the Good Guys Talk Back podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like that page. It means a ton, and pass it along to other Sox fans in your life. This is from Corey Lee, our backstop, our catcher. We've got some depth at the catching position. I like Corey Lee. This is what he had to say after the opening day victory. It's a new team. a new manager. Fans were unbelievable today. It felt like a new year. That's kind of the moral of the story in here. Flip the page. It's the 2025 Sox, and now we are ready to rock.
Okay, so, ready to rock. I like it.
Yeah. He's excited. I'm excited. This is going to be wonderful.
And that's how you get Nick Murawski to get a 10-game package.
All right, folks. Thank you again so much. We will see you, next Sunday, as we are now every Sunday back here in season form. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.